right, David, fun market. We got some volatility. We got some earnings. We got Fed decisions coming this week. Where's with all that going on, where's your mind? Where's your head at?
Sure. Last week, I was a bit more bullish into that pullback as we spoke about. I believe Joel was questioning, how I quantified risk because it was getting pretty ugly down there. And now, as we've bounced and people are kind of feeling more comfortable with the trend, I'm actually a bit more cautious because we have a multitude of earnings releases and I've taken a lot of profits. Long story short, I rode NVIDIA. I'm still long. I did get out of my queues. In fact, I got out about $5-6 early. And I remain stock-based, opportunity-based, and less bullish on the market. Example, that Snap number I thought was pretty solid. I continue to be a buyer in the low 14s off a print that may have changed the path of the stock. If we take a look at it, if you look at a firm, if you look at all these small cappers that have had these big turnarounds, they usually begun with one major event, one big candle, Upstart, Affirm, Carvana. And I'm looking at specific ideas like that, and then I'll go to an NVIDIA. But the overall market in front of the Fed, I think he's going to be bearish. I think he's going I shouldn't say bearish. I think he's going to be hawkish. Yeah. I just don't look at the number we just got. I get it, by the way. That's not a typical number we react off of. But I want to say one thing in regard to that conversation, which was like a really logical conversation. A year ago, if someone told you 10-year 5% and tech stocks were going to outperform and the market was going to go straight up and the Qs were going to go in 15 months from 260 to 430, you would say you're an idiot. That's not possible. So then I say, because we've done that, and because we don't pull back, and because there are all these loud bears screaming that this is insanity, we, of course, react to, I think, numbers we don't normally react to. Because when's the last time we saw the biggest velocity move in rates ever, and then the market go up the way it has? So I think we're more sensitive for logical reasons. I just wanted to say that, right? Because David,
right now you said you're getting a little bit more bearish this week compared to last week. Are you holding? I was looking at your Twitter earlier. So are you still holding AMD calls? Are you gonna?
Yes.
Are you gonna?
That's where directly, I don't mind playing a stock pre the print. So I am long AMD calls as of yesterday. Sorry to interrupt you. Did you want to finish that? I apologize.
No. Go ahead.
So the way I'm entering trades, whether it be the Qs, whether it be AMD, is AMD opened up yesterday, and I said, I talked about it over the weekend because I don't like to talk about things after the fact. So I said, I'm going to be looking at AMD. Do I think they can beat earnings the way NVIDIA does? No. Do I think they can compete with NVIDIA? No. None of that silliness. Anyone who knows, tech understands it's not a story about whether they can compete with NVIDIA. It's about whether there's enough money to be made in second place. And yes, there clearly is. So I just said stock off nearly 25-30%. Broken. She already lowered expectations. I like the risk reward here because if I'm wrong, I can quantify my loss by just doing options. And if I'm right, it's not priced to do very well. I might make 2-3 times, right? Same thing I did with Google. Sorry, what'd you say?
Low bar.
I mean, when I was here, I said I liked Google, right? Last week, I said I didn't like Meta. Not because one was better than the other. It's really about the bar. So, and I love to cheat by going a few days in advance if I think I'm playing it right on the chart, right? So I did that with AMD calls, 167.50s. I bought them 290, 292. I'm sure today, we just had this pullback.
It's actually up.
Yeah, it's up. I think yesterday they were like 420, 430. So I can be up 50%, take some off, play with the house's money, and figure out where to go from there. And that's really where I'm at. I am a trader, not an investor up here, because I don't love the setup. I don't think we can grow enough to warrant a 20, 21 times S&P in, frankly, environment that is just not slowing down. I get it. I think we'll slow down eventually. But anyway, I'm the worst macro guy in the world. But we're not slowing down.
Do you do long-term investing too, David? Do you have a long-term portfolio that you balance?
My sweet spot is, say, 2 to 3 weeks, frankly. But stocks like Immunome, I've owned for years, and specifically the last 7 months from that run from 6 to 30, I still own stock from 6. So it's based on the idea. I would say long term, in terms of beyond a month to 2 months, it's maximum 20% of what I do, but it's a solid 20, 25%. But I want to backtrack. It was 80% of what I did 6 months ago. Market went up huge. To me, it's as simple as that. I run it fun, but it is not, it's small money. It's not hundreds of millions of dollars. So if the climate to me doesn't offer a lot, I'll sit in 50, 60% cash. And I have no problem telling you, after the moves we've seen in AMD and KLA and NVIDIA, you name it, you guys love the market here for investing. I mean, I'm asking you. Like the next 12.
No, I've been heavy cash in my portfolio here for a while, and probably wrong. The reason my portfolio is actually long-term portfolio, it's trading account, I'm always just in and out. I'm trading, I'm a day trader, I'm short-term stuff. I have 2 separate accounts. But the long-term investing account, I've been sitting with quite a bit of cash, mainly just because I had in my long-term portfolio, and I at one point in time had 100 stocks in my long-term portfolio. Well, when they started raising rates, I'm like, why did, and I just had this conversation, why do I own Coca-Cola for a 3% dividend in a 6% environment? Why do I own, so I actually sold a lot of my preferred stocks. I sold all my preferred stocks. I sold all my dividend stuff, and I kind of just moved that to cash. So people are saying, why are you holding 40% cash? Well, I kind of always did. I just always held it with bonds, getting 6% or 7% for a little bit of income as it goes. Well, I just think cash is just as attractive. So that's why I do stick with the growth stocks. And I think in an environment where you were just saying, I think growth stocks can still perform in a rising rate environment. But, if you're looking at the exercise of, other stocks, like we were saying, Coca-Cola is down over the last couple of years. Pepsi's down over the last couple of years. I think the reason is that we buried Tina. Tina is dead. The alternative here is cash.
Tina truly died.
She's dead. She's buried. Like Powell, like we said, she's cremated right now. I don't even think she's coming back.
By the way, now that you've described yourself, I'm nowhere near that type of long-term investor. I maximum go 10, 15 stocks, maybe 20 in these ultra bull markets. And that type of money for me is in VC, right? So like I backed Hydrofarm and Immunome and a lot of these companies that's where a lot of that extra funds go. I'm looking for alpha. Maybe my kids will wish one day I was more conservative, but I definitely don't own Coca-Cola and dividend stocks.
Can't take it with you, David. You can't take it with you. I want to, you talked bullish Google last week, and it had a nice pop. And at the end of the day, I was like reviewing some of my charts, and man, what a bad day in Google yesterday. Yeah. And after earnings, I think people just came in and just said, boy, oh boy, time to take some profit taking. Looking at this chart here, I mean, are you more inclined, looking for a gap fill? Of course, the stock is very market dependent, but man, oh man, that I just like your analysis of Goog. I like to go the Goog without the L.
Okay, Goog without the L, though, same concept. I typically trade Google, but Goog without the L. You had an earnings gap. We had a pro gap, right? It broke that bottom it took all of a second, right? And I want to ask you guys, it really stems from the rumor, right? We don't have any quantifiable, factual news. It all stems from, oh my God, iOS might use ChatGPT. And that's how I took it yesterday. And it really seemed to weigh on the stock a great deal. To what degree will they get away from Google? And the way it didn't fight back. So to walk you through, I had that home run with the options, but I kept buying the stock on Friday, 170, go to 172. I trimmed some 170, 172. When I saw 167 yesterday, I said, no more patience. This is breaking down. I got to have some discipline. I'm out of the stock, right? I said, I don't need to fight this. It looks like a gap fill on Google. It looks like we are going lower. And it looks like we're going to give up the entire earnings gap. So to me, you tell me what you say, but I see 161 and it matches right up with, right below the 8-day. Looks like we're going to fill that gap and remove it unless news changes. But I hated the way it traded yesterday. I thought it was really ugly.
And Microsoft already did give up its earnings gap. Microsoft after hours, remember, David, we hit 423. We never saw those levels in the regular session. The high was, if I just grab from the charts, 413. And we just filled the earnings gap here all the way down yesterday. And now we're back down here. So
Dennis, not to be cute, but I don't know if you remember, I also said Microsoft, I think, beats. I'm not trying to be I told you guys, but it's about what it expects. Microsoft were good earnings, right? No one can say there was anything. But look at how it's trading. So I think Microsoft actually tells you more than anything else that it's all about the bar that's set, right? Because Microsoft was a really good report, and it's like you said, trading like crap.
And Joel, 35 times earnings for Microsoft now. I mean, it was 25 last year.
Right. And they're not producing revenue off of AI the way NVIDIA is, right? So you can't even quantify it now. It's about their ownership, chat, GPT, all that stuff, but it's not quantifiable in their revenue or earnings. Like I always feel comfortable with NVIDIA because I always tell people, I get it, chart's broken, you're scared, blah, blah, blah. But we actually have earnings underlying this stock, and that's my protection. There is, to some degree, a safe haven in a stock that is a heavy, heavy growth company that trades out a reasonable multiple. I don't mean like buying PayPal on the way down that trades as a value name that's decelerating in growth. I mean, anyway, I don't want to get too long-winded, but
I want to keep you on the AI conversation here because we're going to get SMCI tonight. I'm wondering if you were playing this in any ways, because I am watching this SMCI report more than I'm watching Amazon, because I think this is going to be the real driver for NVIDIA tonight is going to be SMCI. How are you playing SMCI?
I think you're 1,000% correct. I think all you have to do is look back 2 Fridays ago and witness that it went down 200 points and actually took NVIDIA for a 90-point ride to the downside in the largest drawdown it's had in 2 years. So you're dead on. So tonight's SMCI report is huge. I truthfully have told, like people say, well, what are you going to do? And maybe it's going to split. I think they might actually split the stock. But in terms of having an edge after this complete round trip, I literally have no desire to play it. I'll play after the print. I think bulls have a better setup than they had a month ago because there's been a lot of sellers taken out on that violent crash. I mean, it was a crash. It went down over 40% top to bottom at one point. And at least some guys on the street have lowered estimates because they didn't pre-announce the way most expected. But beyond that, I feel like I don't have an edge where AMD I did. So I took AMD. I'll play it after the print. I'm long NVIDIA, but frankly, I'm long from 100 points lower with the trailer. So I can live if NVIDIA's, up or down 50. But I'm not playing it. You are the home run. I have no problem saying you are the home run player. You told me how long you owned SMCI.
Oh, well, I don't think you hold that long.
What are you doing with SMCI? Because
I have no position in it. And again, I don't have. I'm right with you here too. I feel like we're the same trader here right now. I have no feel for this one. I'm like, they're gonna beat. I'm pretty sure they're going to beat. The split thing I never thought about. That would be interesting if
they
the
got to
numbers were.
Split their stock. Actually, to me, it's the only thing I feel confident with. It's still illiquid in how it trades, don't you guys think? If you look at like a bigger cap stock now and how they trade, I don't feel like it's a liquid stock.
No, you're 2 points wide on that thing a lot of times.
Right. So why wouldn't they split? It just seems like that, it's shareholder friendly and it actually helps the institutions with liquidity. So to me, it makes a lot of sense.
I think so too, actually. I think that does make sense.
Are earnings good enough to make the split?
David, yesterday, where we saw some tech companies, have a down day, we saw some money flowing into both Tesla and Apple. How are you feeling about Apple here? Or what about Tesla? You're going to try to ride that? I mean, closed up, 15% yesterday?
So I was not the smart guy. I didn't come in long Tesla. I wish I could tell you I was. What I told everyone, and I don't profess to be the best chartist, but I can read them. Yesterday, I told Inner Circle, I'm like 184 and 198. There's a 184 pivot. It's like this one's real simple. And if you get through, there's a whole lot of air till we get up to that 50 day. So I actually missed it, didn't feel like chasing. And literally, as it got to 197, 198, bought a bunch of puts, made, there's nothing to crow about because God knows I wish I was on the long side. I made about maybe $4 or $5 on the pullback in puts, and now I'm flat. I frankly think he at least changed the narrative. I am not bullish Tesla, but it feels like enough to change the narrative. Also, did you guys read Gordon Johnson's report? I'm like, did you read what he was saying? I get it. He's always bearish. But he basically said no one knew what they were doing yesterday, and we are reading the news wrong. Did you see that?
We did, actually. We have Gordon Johnson on the show quite a bit here. And Joel, you should reach out to him because I don't know. He's basically saying the news is all wrong.
Yeah, Yeah, he's basically
yeah,
saying like
basically.
everyone.
You don't like the news, so he's saying it's all wrong.
Adam Jonas is a schmuck, and none of us are trading on the right info. I'm not smart enough to know if he's right.
It's tough. I just real quick, just going back. I got the SMCI for me. I just looked at the setup here. You had that big decline. You're trying to get halfway back. This 950 area fills the gap halfway back. I'd be looking at that. I'm probably within the expected move there. But if this can't clear the 950 area, boom, boom, maybe we go down and test that 670. Seems a long way away. But David, before we let you go, I just on the pre-market show, we were talking about your trading style, and Dennis compared you to the legendary Bob Bright. And that helped me clarify your trading strategy a little bit.
You may not know Bob Bright.
I was about to say, your guys are making me feel less intelligent and less sophisticated than ever before, because he's talking about Coca-Cola and dividend stocks, and now Bob Bright. Enlighten me. Who's Bob?
Bob Bright was from Bright Trading. It's a competitor. You're talking about, so Bright Trading was basically T3 like 20 years ago.
Okay, to be direct with you guys, I don't know the trading world, right? Never worked prop. It's fun. I'm really in venture capital and corporate finance. So it's been a world. So he's was a big trading firm.
Bob Bright was a huge trader. Like back in the day, Bob was like a huge, and he started
or any of these.
Bob was on the floor. So backstory to Bob Bright, on the floor, 70s, 80s, started Bright Trading, day trading prop firm in 1992.
Late 90s.
So he was way ahead of, he was the first one to bring floor traders. His idea was, we don't need the floor anymore. We're bringing them all to the office. Computer screens, the floor is going to go away. We don't need the floor anymore. Bob was always ahead of it all. And then he started Bright Trading in 1992, eventually got up to 40 offices, 500 traders in the firm, built it up pretty well. And Bob is still trading. Actually, Bob has got to be getting close to 80 years old or more, Joel, but he's still trading out there. And, he gets convicted. But the analysis, how you trade NVIDIA would be how Bob would trade and say, look, I've got fundamentals behind me here. And I can come in and buy this dip right now, knowing, there's fundamentals behind it. And I'm, so basically, people say, don't catch falling knife. I say it all the time. But, you made that trade. And I was like, the reason David could make that trade was because he had fundamentals behind him.
I want to say one last thing, because I believe that you guys might have done the same thing, and I think you'll admit it. I did the same trade 2 days later, and I got even more aggressive at a higher price. When Meta came out and said, we're going to spend a lot of money, and we're going to buy tons of chips, and CapEx is going up, and they took NVIDIA down 20, I said, this is an easier buy than Friday, and got aggressive there yet again as a buy. Did you guys buy it? I'm not testing you, but I'm like, to me, that's, even though the chart looked yet broken again, off of the Meta print, NVIDIA was down 20, pre-market it traded below 780. And I thought, okay, we're going to spend more money on NVIDIA, and now they're taking NVIDIA down 20. If any stock's going to bounce off this report that's scaring the living daylights out of people in Meta, I'm buying NVIDIA. So to me, fundamentals still do matter.
They do. They do.
All right, David, we got to wrap up here.
Thank you, guys.
Before we let you go, if you want to give a quick 15-second shout out, what people can get in your room if they scan that QR code on the bottom of the screen, or go to the description of this YouTube video, and we do have the link in there as well.
I appreciate it, guys, for giving me the time. Long story short, it's more of a swing type trader's room where we're looking at 2-3 week ideas, fundamental base and technical base. A lot of what I do is about how to run money, how to manage it properly, because I believe finding winners is, people hate when I say this, finding winners is the easy part. How to manage them, to me, is 70% of the game. So that's what I'm about. But thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, David. Always great to have you on.